Alright, what's up? Okay. So, I was at Walmart and I was gonna make a video in Walmart, but that did not happen because my phone died. Dang. Okay, cool. So, I decided I'm gonna make this video basically showing you how I do like a little bit of meal prep. So these are the ingredients I use: black pepper, garlic powder, oregano leaves, pink Himalayan sea salt. You can use whatever kind of salt you want. You can use iodized salt if you like, or just regular sea salt. And then this herbs Providence. You don't need to use this. I just have this in here. My wife gets it, so I use that. This is to make the chicken spicy after it's done cooking. These are only like a couple bucks. And then I just get the cheapest chicken they have, which is usually drumsticks. These bad boys. So you can get, I don't know, how many pounds is this? This is 4 pounds of chicken, and I got 2 of them, and the total was $10.09. So I'll show you that right now. $10.10 for the chicken. So if you can get the seasonings, if you don't have seasonings, I mean, seasonings are not cheap, we know that. But if you can get these seasonings and then this other can of stuff, it's probably only going to be like another 10-15 bucks. And then you want to get a big bag of rice. So the big bag of rice is obviously going to be like a long-term thing. But if you have a Costco membership, they sell the big bags of I think regular long grain rice. I think it's under 20 bucks, and it's a big like 50-pound bag, or 20 pounds I think. I get the jasmine rice, so I get this one right here. And let's see, how many pounds is this? So it's 25 pounds. So I get this bad boy from Costco, and I think this is only like, this is under $30. So 25 pounds of jasmine rice, under $30, at least when I bought it forever ago. And that rice will last you for meals and meals and meals. I have leftover rice in here. This is from the last meal prep that we did. So always having rice, super important if you're trying to be quick about your meals. So anyways, first thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to throw these in the pan, get a pan going, get it nice and hot, put some oil in there, and then start cooking these, and then you're gonna season them as they're cooking. Alright, so we got the pan on, oil on, it is hot. We're just gonna add the chicken. Turn that down to do it. And then we're just gonna put pieces straight. This is frozen chicken, so straight in there. No time, man. Alright. So this will settle in a little bit. So I was able to get a full bag of these, well, almost a full bag of these in there. Anyways, the chicken will soften up, and you should be able to fit this whole bag, one bag of 4 pounds of chicken inside of this pan. So 12 servings per person. So it says there's 12 servings in here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that they're assuming that one of these pieces is about 1.3 servings, right? 10, no, 1.2 servings. So each one of these is just a little bit over 1 serving. 17 grams. So each one of these chicken breasts has roughly 17 grams of protein. It should more or less have more than less because of the proportions. But obviously, if you have a piece that's like this small compared to a piece that's like this big, the smaller one probably has closer to 10 grams, and the bigger one probably has closer to 20, right? This one right here, this size is probably closer to the 17 grams, or maybe this other size. But just keep that in mind when you're portioning out for your macros, when you're getting your protein and all your other stuff, like, you know, sodium, carbs, all that good stuff. We're not going to go too deep into that because I'm not like a nutritionist or anything, but we're just going to show you more or less how many servings you can get out of this. And right here, there's 10 pieces, so we're going to do 10 servings out of this one. Salt first, always. And like I said, you can use any kind of salt you want. This is just a salt that my wife likes. I do prefer kosher sea salt. She likes this pink salt, so we use this one. But what is it? Morton sells the kosher sea salt, and that one's really good. So, oh no, garlic. Garlic next. Powder the garlic. Powder. This is garlic powder. Make sure you're using garlic powder, not onion powder. I mean, you can use onion powder if you want, but this is just to season up. This is the oregano. Put this on there. This piece ain't even getting cooked, so once the chicken starts to soften up a little bit, move it out of the way and make sure you got all the pieces on there so they can all get nice and cooked. Yeah, buddy. Bruh. Alright. A little more oregano don't hurt. And then we're going to put this herbs de Provence. Ooh, with lavender. This is the, I don't know, this just stuff makes more flavor, so it's good. So I always season my chicken and cook it first before adding the chipotle stuff. But there's two other things you can do. There's probably lots of other things you can do. Alright, so let's get you out of this thing. So the coolest part about, or I guess the most efficient part about meal prepping with the drumsticks and seasoning them the way I did first is that you kind of have like a base chicken. So like if you really wanted to, you could just cook the chicken just like that, just with those seasonings. So like if you really wanted to, you could just cook the chicken the way it is with the seasoning on it right now. I mean, it smells great. Look at that. It's gonna cook one side, let it cook, let all of the moisture evaporate, then it'll start sizzling, and then once it gets to that point, you'll flip it. I cook on high heat. You want to keep this high so that all of this moisture can dissipate. If you're cooking, you need to pay attention to what you're doing. So you're going to have to watch this. So as soon as the moisture level gets low, you're going to want to turn that down and maybe add a little bit more oil. But you don't want to flip these right away because you want them to get a little bit of char on the other side. And then once those are ready, flip them. Alright, so if you really wanted to, you could just use that for your chicken. And then the rice is very simple to cook. If you don't have a rice cooker, I suggest you get one so that you can cook rice. I don't cook rice in the rice cooker. I am actually pretty good at just cooking rice in the pot. It does take some time. I'm sure you guys don't want to see that, but if anybody does want to know how to cook rice in a pot, I can make another video on that. Just say something in the comments and I'll show you how to make stovetop rice. And it's actually fairly simple. I can show you a couple different ways. I can show you like the complete lazy way or like the proper way or whatever. But anyways, we got our chicken cooking. That's going. Like I said, we can use that as the base if we wanted to. But if you want to spice it up a little bit, after it's done cooking, you could add sweet baby rays. So you would want to wait until the chicken's fully cooked on both sides, and then in I believe this is a saucepan, but in a separate saucepan if you wanted to, you put the chicken in there and then you season it with the baby rays, and then you can add a little bit of water and then let it reduce so that it coats the outside of the chicken. 1 second, guys. The moisture level is getting low over here. I'm sure you can hear the chicken intensifying. I'm gonna flip this chicken. Well, not flip it yet. I'm gonna move it around. I'm gonna move the chicken around and make sure it doesn't burn, because we gotta make sure, now that all the moisture is gone, the chicken could get stuck to the bottom of the pan. We really don't want that. So we're just gonna move it a little bit. Move it around. You're not flipping it yet. Just moving it around. So almost all the moisture is gone out of there. I added a little bit more oil. I turned it down a bit, and we're just gonna let it cook some more. So if you add the Sweet Baby Ray's, you're gonna want to let that cook in the pan for probably just a few minutes until the sauce starts to reduce. I mean, you want it to cook into the chicken a little bit. So typically what I'll do is I'll take like a cup of this and then like a half cup of water, mix it together, and then I'll put it in there, and then I'll let it like boil, reduce down, so that it kind of gets to the same consistency that this one is already. But the reason I put the water is so that I can generate enough heat so that it kind of like cooks into the chicken. You don't want to put straight barbecue sauce onto your chicken and then put it on the pan and then crank the heat, because what's going to happen is it's just going to burn the shit out of the sauce. We don't want that. I'm not trying to disrespect any barbecue people out there, but this is just a quick meal prep. So in no way am I saying that this is how you make barbecue, but if you wanted to make some barbecue flavored chicken and you ain't got a lot of time, you want to cook the chicken like this, put it in a saucepan, water this down, put it in the saucepan, essentially boil it in there with the chicken, reduce it down to where it's almost the same consistency, and then bring the temperature down, and then you'll have the barbecue flavored chicken at that point. Another thing you can do is you can use this chipotle, these peppers. They're just like whole chipotle peppers, and they come with adobo sauce in them. And basically what I do is I blend these up. I use this like magic bullet thing or whatever, like a little, and it has like a little blender in there. So you want to keep this stuff cooled after you blend it up. Put it into a container. This has a lid, so this is all I use this for. So I just keep this in here. If you don't use if you're not going to use it for just this stuff, I would suggest taking it out and cleaning it immediately, because the adobo is super strong, it's very spicy, and it will essentially flavor your cup, and anything else that you make out of that cup is going to taste like this. This will give you the flavor of like a chipotle chicken. So after, it's the same process. After it's done cooking, take some of this, water it down, put it in there. You gotta be careful with this one, because if you start boiling and cooking it at super high heat, it does burn a little easier. It's also chilies, and when you cook chilies on high heat or just any moderate heat, if you're not used to it, it'll make you cough a lot. So another good little hack is, if you want to make the barbecue spicy, you can do what I said with the barbecue, boil it, and then just add like a spoon of this. You don't need a lot of this. This just will make this right here, this little bit will basically work for the entire bag of chicken that we just started. It's super spicy. Depending on how much spice you can handle, I would not recommend putting the entire container for one bag of chicken. This entire container can probably season 4 to 5 bags of chicken. Just keep that in mind. Alright, so we're flipping the chicken now. Got a nice little char on the other side. We're going to flip it over. And at this point, we want to turn the heat down just a little bit, because we have all the seasonings on the other side of the chicken, and now they're going face down. And essentially what's going to happen is that they're going to burn, and we don't want them to burn, we want them to cook. So now at this point, we're flipping the chicken, all the seasonings down, and we've turned the heat down. If you can see, the heat is now almost less than half in comparison to all the way full throttle when we first started. And remember, we're cooking this from frozen, so no defrost time. Came straight from Walmart into the pan. You don't need to wait. You don't need to defrost it. Start cooking. So you just flip that. Something to do to help the chicken cook a little quicker is just take a knife and just poke some holes in the side of the chicken. It should be plenty defrosted by this point. You should be able to make plenty of holes into the chicken, and this will essentially just help the heat transfer through the meat a lot easier, so that you're not having to wait to cook this a long time. So at this point, we're just going to season it the same way we did the first time. So salt first. Salty spittoon. And the garlic. Alright. Pepper. I don't know if we did pepper on the last one. I think I forgot the pepper, but here's some black pepper. Don't forget the pepper. The pepper is important. Oregano. Yep, buddy. And then herbs de Provence with lavender. So if you cook this just like this, leave it on low. You're gonna let it cook like this for probably, I'll say like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Add a little bit of oil if you need to. And after it cooks like this, at that point, it'll be almost, if not, like if you check on it after 10 to 15 minutes of cooking and it's not fully cooked all the way through, you're gonna want to make more holes in the chicken to allow the heat to properly cook it all the way through. If not, another thing you can do if you're not too concerned about the chicken being whole pieces, you can just like cut slices off of the side of the chicken to where they're, you don't want to cut them all the way apart because you want to try to keep the portions as neat as possible so that you don't have to like take up a bunch of pieces. But essentially you just take the knife and then follow the bone and then cut it and then kind of open it up a little bit so that it can cook a little quicker, because you don't want to have raw meat. That'll make you sick. But at this point, we are just going to let the chicken cook, and then once the chicken is fully cooked, I'm going to do 2 separate saucepans, and we're going to do the barbecue chicken, and then we're going to do the chipotle chicken, and I'm going to add some of the chipotle to the barbecue because I like spicy. Another thing that we could do that I'm contemplating about getting right now is orange chicken. So if you cook this the same way and then you just got orange chicken sauce and then you did the same thing with the barbecue, like how the barbecue and the chipotle, and you put it into the chicken, then you would essentially have orange chicken at that. But this is a good start, like in the beginning of the week. All you got, $50. Go find a friend who has a membership to Costco. You don't need a membership to Costco. You just need somebody who has a membership. Your aunt, your uncle, your mom, your dad, your mom's friend, anybody, the guy you met the other day at the gym. Doesn't matter. As long as they have Costco membership, go to Costco and buy the rice there. That's going to be one of the things that like saves you the most amount of money, because rice from Walmart or Food City, Bash's, Fry's, wherever, is going to be extremely expensive for a small bag, like a 5-pound bag. It's like $10 to $15. Some of them are cheap, but essentially you can get the big bag of rice for under $1 a pound, which is great, and it's jasmine rice. It tastes amazing. I love the way it tastes. So you're going to want to get your rice at Costco because it's cheaper there, whether it's jasmine rice or regular rice. Okay, go there. The kind of protein that you want to get, I always get the chicken drumsticks because they are the cheapest. So I do know a place to get meat way cheaper than Walmart, and it's called El Super. They have a carniceria, which is basically just like a meat section where they have fresh meats, or I guess raw meats, and you just tell the people behind the counter, say, hey, I want X amount of pounds of this kind of meat, and then they put it in a bag, weigh it out, and then they give it to you. So Walmart sells this chicken for like $1.50 or something like that, a pound, and that's the drumsticks. And El Super sells theirs for usually under $1, so it's like 98 cents per pound. So essentially you can get your price per pound in dollars for chicken protein. If you're trying to save money, drumsticks are the cheapest alternative. Like, you're not going to get any cheaper than that. I mean, you might be able to get a sale somewhere, but this is essentially going to be your like bread and butter. You want to make sure you get the drumsticks. They are the cheapest. They're going to save you the most amount of money. Making sure that when you're getting the seasonings that you want, like the barbecue sauce, the chipotle, the orange chicken, always try it in smaller portions first. Always get like the smallest container that you can, because you want to make sure you absolutely love it. You don't want to go get this big jug of Sweet Baby Ray's and then find out you don't like Sweet Baby Ray's. I mean, you'd be a madman if you didn't, but don't get the big one, because then you're just going to have a big waste of the jug. So that initial 50 gets you in the door. You got all the chicken, you got all the rice, you got all the seasonings that you need in order to cook the chicken. And so from there on out, that rice should essentially last you months, because let's actually look at how many portions come in that big bag of rice. All right, so there's enough rice in that bag right there for you to make 3 servings a day, and that will last you 72 days. That'll last you an entire summer vacation. That's a little over 2 months for one person. That whole bag will feed you for a single serving 3 times a day for just over 2 months, which is great. So if you think about that investment, you got the big bag of rice. You don't have to buy rice for 2 whole months. Now you just gotta go buy your protein. You had to spend $50 initially to get all the stuff that you needed, but now all you need to do is buy protein, and you can add more vegetables. You can add like broccoli, asparagus, carrots, all that other stuff. This is just like the bare bones. I'm a broke mother. I need to make some food and be okay for the week. This is how you're gonna do it. Eventually, you're gonna buy portion containers and be able to put the food into containers. That's the best way to do it, is taking your food and portioning it out. Alright, so the chicken is now at this point where it's got some moisture on it, so I went ahead and turned the heat up a little bit. That's not too much moisture, but if you get too much moisture in here, essentially what will happen is the moisture will make the chicken kind of tough and dilute the seasoning, and we don't really want that, so we're going to try and cook it on as high as heat as possible. So we're going to let this cook just a little bit longer, and then I'm going to separate it and put the spicy adobo in that one, and then we're going to put the barbecue in this one. We're going to put this one on high, and then we're going to add some oil. You can use vegetable oil or olive oil or whatever kind of oil you like. If you're a weird oil person, you can just do whatever oil needs you need. Oil, move our crown. Alright. And then we're going to put this chicken about half. These are the outer bones. If you couldn't tell, I really like the chipotle. So I'm going to cook all of these with the chipotle, and then I'm only cooking 3 with the barbecue. But these are ready to season. The insides are no longer pink. If it is a little bit, you can just cook it in the sauce a little bit longer. And all of this, I guess, if you're looking at the bottom of the pan, you're like, oh, that's gross. That's just seasoning and stuff from the chicken that you just cooked. So, I mean, you're essentially eating that anyways. So you don't need to clean this pan out. You can just, like I said, dilute the barbecue sauce and add it in there. I'm just gonna pour some in here and then add some water. Whoop, that was probably way too much. Now we're gonna add a little bit of water. Water in there. And then we want to just let this reduce now. And you can put this on high heat because you want this to boil. I know it seems excessive that I'm using this big ass pan for 3 pieces of chicken, but I was already cooking in this pan. So now we're going to go over to this one because these are not quite done cooking yet. So I wanted to put them in a clean pan because what happens with the pan that already has like the stuff built up on the bottom is it creates like a layer of insulation and it cannot cook the chicken as efficiently as the stainless steel itself can. So that's why I'm putting these in a new pan, start them up again so they can cook thoroughly, cook all the way through before we add the seasoning. And we do want to poke these bad boys. And since these are almost already all the way cooked, instead of diluting the mixture right away, I'm going to just put either a spoon, if you have like a brush, like a barbecue brush, you can brush it on the top, but I'm just going to fork it onto the top. Like I said, this is super spicy. This in here is enough to do an entire bag, and I'm doing almost an entire bag. If you cannot handle spicy food, please do not try this because it will burn your mouth. It will burn other things too, like your eyes. So now that we got the seasoning just on the top, rub that in. And then with the rest of this, I'm gonna just rinse this out and then pour it into the pan. So I added some water in there. And we're just gonna mix it back up. And you want to be careful when you pour the water in there. Don't pour it over the chicken. You want to leave this like concentrated marinade on the top because it's gonna really add the flavor in. Try and pour it on the center so that it kind of goes out, like through like the little gaps in the chicken. Alright. So let that cook. Make sure you pay attention to it. Also, make sure you just move the chicken a little bit so you don't want it getting stuck to the bottom of the pan. If it gets stuck to the pan, it's going to suck because you're going to try and flip it and you're going to have a big burnt piece on the bottom. Nobody wants that. So just make sure you move that chicken around. Don't flip it. Just move it. Alright. Over here, the barbecue. Look at that. See how it's getting all bubbly and looking delicious? We're just going to let this keep reducing down until it's nice and thick. You could take it off like this and serve it like this, but the barbecue is still pretty watery. So we're just going to let that reduce. Turn the heat down just a little bit because we don't want that to burn. And then we're going to let these cook for a little while longer. I'm going to flip this chicken one more time so you guys can see how we do this with the chipotle flavored one. But essentially, once you flip it, now all the concentrate is at the bottom. Let it reduce, and then that's it. It's done. We're done. So I'm not gonna lie, that barbecue was looking fire, and I decided to just put it in the rest of the chicken. And yeah, I like spicy, but anyways, you can do whatever you want to do. You can leave it just barbecue, you can leave it just spicy, you can mix it together. I'm gonna put it into the containers without the rice, and then I'll heat it up with the rice as I heat it up because I don't want the rice to soak up all of the sauce in there and the rice get nasty. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys like the video, please like, please subscribe. And yeah, see you guys on the next one. Peace.